The rusted gold has not cracked the sky yet. It is slow. It is deliberate, but it is relentless. Even before the first blade slices through the black silk of the night sky, I know my time is up. The face I wore in the shadows melts away. The face my body wore is harder to wash away. It resists, but then gives in to the starkness of the light. The masks of the day rear their heads. They stare at me. Primary colors splattered across the features, ready to be worn, adorned, and paraded. Each mask I reach for, knowing intuitively that one cannot touch another. Each one has a life of its own, defining the eggshell it protects underneath. Each one tells a story, has a purpose, a reality to face. Each one wears the scars of battle. Each one stained with tears. Each one carrying the kisses of time across its cracked yet smooth skin. And yet today, the armor of my mask can no longer control the scream of the face it conceals. For today, the face is stronger than the reality it stares at. For today, truth is more powerful than resilience.
Hi, Sri. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are here for the Q&A session for the Dance on Celluloid movie of Faces and Masks. And Sri, to start on with, what was your intention behind choosing this work? And especially your poem is what has been translated into a work. So first, talk about your poem and then your journey on translating it into a medium of, a performance medium. So tell us about that.
Yeah, the poem actually happened one morning during lockdown, early in lockdown when I was in New York. That day was a particularly hard day. I had just finished practicing in my apartment because obviously everything was closed and I couldn't go to the studios. And I remember thinking, okay, now I have to log on and work. I am also a finance professional. And my kid was 2 at the time and wasn't going to school and didn't have anything to entertain him. And I had to figure something out there as well. And I remember thinking, it's not just me, it's all of us. But every single persona that I take on, whoever I am at various parts of the day, sometimes an office worker, sometimes an artist, sometimes a wife or a mother, sometimes a friend, all of these, everything is blended into one. There's no distinction anymore. And so what does that mean when it comes to who I am? If I've been wearing these masks like throughout my life at various points in time, then who am I underneath? And what happens when the person underneath can no longer just keep juggling all of this? In the past, we were able to keep all of those masks separate and they didn't touch. But now it's all under one roof. They all touch one another. And then what happens? Who is the person underneath and what are we actually showing the world? And so it became a literal translation of what I was feeling on paper with me. I thought it would resonate with some, but the extent to which it touched people was it made me realize that, oh yeah, I'm not actually alone. And then over time, what happened was I was expecting my second baby, and then I had her in February of 2021. And then you and I were actually talking about this.
Yes.
And we were talking about this theme, we were talking about what I had written, and then we decided that we should, actually make it performance art. And for a variety of reasons, logistics being one of them, we decided to make a dance on film instead of a live show. And then recently, Kylie, the other performer, and I did go live as well, but the birth here was actually on celluloid, which is usually not the way it progresses, right?
Yes.
And so so long story short, for me, this was my emotion, my sentiments, just starting to rear its head in the form of performance art in this film. And obviously you know the rest. And we filmed it pretty much soon after I had my baby, within the 2-month frame. So it was all the more emotional because I felt like that theme resonated even more strongly with me. I'm a mother of a newborn, and I'm a dancer, and I want to do all of this. The world is just opening up. Who am I now in the context of all of this?
Watch the film, the output of what you thought, because the words on the paper is very different from when we have it translated into a visual medium. So
right.
How was the translation? How did you feel on the whole end product or end result of it? Were you happy, or you thought maybe if this had happened, or was there anything that came to your mind after watching it?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, I think it's still a process. The whole thing was about processing what I felt first on paper and then via dance and then via film. And this is where collaborators are so important, as you know. So Kylie, who's the ballet dancer, Kylie Fox, was, a thorough partner in the whole thing, in understanding what the words meant and how it impacted her and translating that in a way that complemented the Bharatanatyam. And then Kevin Chiu, who's,
Yeah.
incredible. And I've worked with him before. I've done many dance films with him before. He is just so great at looking at the movement and thinking about the theme and capturing the essence of it on film, and does not relent. He just keeps going and going
Going,
and
yes.
going. And so I thought that, with both of them, it was inevitable that the result, if you want to call it that, I think of it more as a milestone.
Yes.
This particular piece was a learning experience for me. I didn't actually have a very strong vision of I needed to look exactly like this. I had a view of what I wanted it to say. And so seeing that come together on screen was definitely really fulfilling. But I think we've just scratched the surface, and there's so much
Yes.
more to come.
We have. And if you have to change anything in the movie, what would
Yeah.
that one thing be, Sri?
I think I would elaborate a lot more. I think this is just a kernel, and then the next step is, peeling the layers underneath. Like, what are the different masks? What do we actually feel in each one of them? And the emotions underneath each. I think, this is a 6-minute piece or so, and I want, this could be a much, much longer
Long
production.
piece.
And I definitely want to explore that. What about you, Krishnapriya? How did you, I know how we both started working on it, but I don't think I've ever explicitly asked what, pulled you into this in the first place.
I mean, for me, it was a very interesting project to work on on a celluloid medium. It was
Yeah,
an interesting project, but
yeah,
it says the poem itself resonates with so many of us because we
right.
all struggle with so many different identities, or we wear different hats for that matter.
Yeah,
And the way the intriguing part was for me was how are we going to express this in a performative medium
mm,
where we have these things. How are we going to show this? That was the
mm,
most interesting, intriguing part for me.
yeah,
So I didn't have a second thought at all. The
yeah,
minute we'd started discussing, like we said, we had a very elaborative idea, and then we have to really concise it based
right,
on the time and budget and everything. We had to
right,
really concise it.
right.
So that was an interesting part for me.
Okay, awesome. And what did you think of the whole process and the film and when you saw it? I mean, you were obviously in the UK, and here I am in the US, and that time frame within which we were working was, was so tight. I mean, just rendering everything,
Yeah.
sending it to each other via Dropbox, making sure that we got back to Kevin in time to edit, and getting input from Kylie and you. I mean, just the logistics and the back and forth. I remember was so tight, because we were trying to hit some very tight deadlines.
Yes,
Um,
we were.
but what was your reaction when you saw the rough draft, the final draft? How did you feel about it? Where do you think we are in the process?
So for me, as you said, it was a learning process for me. So I didn't envision anything in front of me. I was like, whatever comes out of it,
Yeah,
this is going to be great because this is our first time we are doing something on a
sure.
very tight time frame for that matter.
Yeah,
And we were very clear on what was possible. So I didn't
yeah,
have any expectation of the project. My only expectation was to get the project done and get it
yeah,
out there
yeah,
and have we had to convey what we were trying to say to the audience correctly. That was
yeah.
my only concern.
And in many ways, right, like a small piece is even harder to capture everything you want to do than a piece where you probably have some more time, a 20, 30-minute piece where you
Yes.
could perhaps, take longer to explain this. But this was constrained within the words.
Yes.
And I will say the musicians, I don't want to
Yes.
forget. I mean, the way they collaborated, they were also in California, And so Sudharshana Arunkumar is in California, and Ajay Narasimha was also in California, and his
California.
wife Vinita, who mixed, the violin that Ajay played and that Sudharshana sang, was also in California. And so they had to bring this together, and that musical score combined with the spoken word is honestly the backbone of what made this work. And so I'm hoping that this continues, obviously, into the next phase that you and I keep talking about.
Definitely. Looking forward to. I think our
Yeah.
audience will also have a similar feeling of after watching it. And for everyone who have missed the show before, it is available in Paallam Arts YouTube channel. You can go back and watch it, and followed by this conversation between Srinidhi, Raghavan, and me. So hope you had this amazing time in our Margari celebration of Dance on Celluloid with our first co-produced movie of Phases and Mask. So we'll thank you for joining us today, and see you all next time. Thank you. Thank you for joining
Namaste.
us, Sri. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.